Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. I'm so sorry that I've got the dodgy camera. I forgot my camera. I'm not at home. I'm at my mother's, as you can see. It's just me and Scotty tonight. I think a few of my others might be popping in as we go. I know we've got a special guest coming in at some point, and Dan will be on a bit later. But how you doing, mate? Your week been well?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Had a tooth out in the week, so I'm still recovering from that.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about the signings. I mean, the main title of the video tonight is about the signings. How good our transfer window been? We're going to be rating it from best to worst, and how good it's been overall. We'll be talking a little bit about the Tottenham game. VAR, I should imagine, will come up, and anything else that you want to discuss as well. I'll take a couple of questions about the videos I've done this week. We've done a special video with We Are Tottenham TV. I hope you saw that one because that was a good one. And I've just done one with Louis Benavente. Give me a haircut, and he's cut it down right to the bone, mate. Like, I've never been balder than this in my life. To be quite honest, yeah. What have you been up to this week, Scotty?
Not much, mate. Not much. As I said, had a tooth pulled out. It's caused me a lot of jip. But other than that, mate, just the usual work, home life, and work and a bit of football.
Someone saying wipe your lens. Phil, we've had this problem, mate. It's the internal camera of the laptop. It's got like dead pixels in it. You can see that little. I go right up to it. You can see the two little dead pixels. It won't wipe. Normally, I try and line it up with my eyeball so it looks like I've got. Look. I have to do that. Can I get them? Yeah. There you go.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. We'll be taking all your comments, all your questions. We'll be talking about the Chelsea game. Yeah, but let's get right into the first subject. We have got a guest in the waiting in the wings at the moment. Should we bring him in straight away?
Yeah, might as well, mate. Chuck him in.
Might as well. There we go. I'm going to go a little bit wider than this because he stitched me up last night because he had me like stuck in a little column like this on Hammer's chat. But how you doing, Gio?
I'm good, thank you. You too?
Do you like my pixels?
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything last night about them either. Yes, the pixels are alive and kicking. West Ham's 9th and 10th summer signings, they are.
Yeah, that's it, man. They're making a return, the return of the pixels. But yeah, look, transfer window's over. It's all done, dusted. Deadline's gone. No more surprises. No one going. No one coming. We've got everyone in that we've got to get in. Gio, let's start with you, mate. Did we get everything that we needed?
I would have liked another additional centre midfielder. I know I'm being a little bit picky here, but I think it's because of my lack of faith that Flynn Downes is going to step up or be given the opportunity to step up, rather. And I think we're almost in a similar situation as to what we were last season with just Rice and Soucek. And I know Coventry and Downes is there, but I can only go what I'm seeing so far from Moyes with Downes, which is a little bit Alex Kralitis, which is a little bit of reluctancy to play him early on. I'm hoping I'm wrong in that aspect, and he does have a big impact. But even if he was playing, I would have liked a more offensive centre midfielder, I think. Somebody who's a bit more progressive on the ball. But like I said, I'm being picky with that one. But apart from that, very, very impressed and very, very happy.
Well, the summer signings started coming in early. Obviously, let's rate them, right, Scott? So,
yep.
First one was I think it was Alphonse Areola, if I'm right. It might have been him or it might have been Downes. I think it was Areola. Areola got over the line first, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, what would you rate him?
As a signing overall, you've got to be looking at, for the quality of player that he is, a 10. He's a top goalkeeper, and we've got him at a bargain price as well. You can't. That was the business that needed to be sorted first, and it was good to get it over the line. And the price that we've paid for that type of quality, you can't knock it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a Mark Noble replacement, to be honest with you. Someone with a bit of passion for the club, similar sort of position, similar sort of player, obviously a bit younger, a bit more raw. Needs to get into the Premier League.
Yeah, he's talking about someone else,
shit.
Scott. Just ignore him.
I'm talking about Downes. I thought, do you know what? Leave me alone. I'm tired. Areola. Yeah. I think it's a 9 for Areola. I like Areola. I think he'll be our number 1. Yeah, I think it's a 9. 9 out of 10.
Why is it not a 10? Can I ask? Why is it not
there's always doubt. There's always doubt. Always. He hasn't started yet. He hasn't played a consistent run of games for us. From what I've seen of him, very, very good. Very solid. Potential to be a top goalkeeper. So I'm going to go with a 9 because it would be a 10 because I honestly don't think there would have been a better goalkeeper for us to sign in this window.
Well, I find it hard to not give him a 10 for the reasons you're giving, Nicky, which is he's the perfect fit for us. I think had we signed him without last season, I would have probably gave a 7 or an 8, but we had him last season. We know he's settled into the club. The club know him. The players know him. He's probably going to have a greater impact going forward, which we didn't know he was going to have when we signed him because we were just going to sign the likes of Thilo Kehrer. You saw him speaking to Paqueta before he came onto the pitch. Now, I'm pretty certain it wasn't, let's get him in for being a translator. But if we are going to have a strong French spine, I think having a French goalkeeper is not necessarily a bad thing. At the time of signing, we didn't know we were going to go and sign Kehrer and Paqueta, of course. But I think it's a 10. I think it's good value for money. He's a good age. He's a top goalkeeper. The succession plan from Fabianski to Areola is quite evident, and I'm quite confident that he will be our number 1 eventually. We'll see him on Thursday night in the Europa Conference League as well. And without knowing the Villarreal goalkeeper, I would suggest that we possibly got the best goalkeeper in that competition. So yeah, I'll give Areola a 10.
10. Next in was Flynn Downes. Or was it Aguerd?
I think Aguerd was next in.
Aguerd. All right. Okay. Aguerd. Obviously, listen. It's I'll let you go first, Gio, on this one. Actually,
I'm going to struggle with this one. I don't know him. I don't watch French football. I'd never heard of him until we were linked to him. This summer, when we were sort of purchasing him and stuff, I got reminded that we were linked to him a year ago. I couldn't even remember being linked to him a year ago, but it was sort of him or Kurt Zouma or Milankovic, and we went with Kurt Zouma, obviously. So clearly the club have been scouting him for over a year now, which would suggest that it's not a Rob Newman sort of purchase, which is perhaps a little bit interesting. Or maybe Rob Newman highlighted him to us before he officially joined West Ham, because he was on gardening leave for a while at Man City, weren't he? So I think it'd be naive to suggest that Rob Newman had no contact whatsoever with West Ham and didn't pass on any names in the summer transfer window to the club he was going to join eventually. But I'll give it like a 7, I guess, but it's only because I don't really know enough about him. Good reputation, good age, ball playing centre back, left sided, ticking all the boxes. But until I've seen more of him, there's only so high I can rate the transfer, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 6 at the moment because he's injured. You know, you can't have more of a disaster when you sign a big money. Well, it's big money for us, I guess. Signing, he comes in like Gio. I didn't really know much about him. I've heard good things about him, but that's through the grapevine. Heard he's big, heard he's solid, heard he's going to be brilliant, and then he gets injured on his second appearance. I think it was against Rangers, and it's just frustrating, isn't it? When when we went into the tackle, we was watching it as we was doing a podcast, and Dom was doom and gloom. He's going to be out forever, and I was like, nah, he's just done his ankle. He'll be back in the next few weeks, and it turns out he's going to probably be out till after the World Cup, which is by the time he gets back, and he'll be back sort of towards the end of October. By the time he gets back up to fitness, the World Cup will be here, and we're not going to see him before January. So it's disappointing in that sense, but it's nobody's fault. And I'm just going to say 6 because I don't know what he's like, and I don't know how he's going to adapt to the Premier League. That's just the default.
Yeah, I think you can't give him much more than that because we haven't seen anything of him. And like Gio, I'm not going to sit here and say I know a lot about him. I knew nothing about him when we signed him. I just hear on the grapevine that he is meant to be a quality centre half, a good player, a player that can play in multiple positions again, which is good because there's a lot of versatile players in our team at the minute. and this will bode well for the fact where Moyes seems to want to switch between two different systems as well. So it'll benefit us. You just got to hope that it's not another Faubert. When we signed Faubert, he was this top talent, lightning quick, got injured straight away, and then he never fulfilled the potential that he had. Hopefully, it's not the same with Aguerd. Hopefully this guy comes back from this injury and goes back to being the quality player that he's meant to be. But yeah, for me, probably a 6 at the minute.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you guys in the chat say? A lot of people saying like, well, actually, no one's saying anything. They're going. We've got Aguerd 9. Matt Powell says a 9. So he must know a little bit about him at the end of the day. Yeah, I don't know nothing about him, so I'm just going to say 6, just because it's the default, the thing. Flynn Downes, I've already given my answer on Flynn Downes. I don't think I'll give a rating, but I told you why I thought he was going to be a decent signing. Again, a 6.
Yeah, again, didn't know much about him. Spoke to a Swansea fan not long after we signed him. They're gutted that they lost him. Absolutely gutted. Yeah, they rave about him. They think he's a top talent. Again, probably a bit unlucky that he picked up that little injury before the European game where he probably would have started. Like you said earlier, Gio, it is one of those. Is it the Kroll treatment, or is it that Downes isn't ready? He's admitted himself he's found it a lot tougher in training than what he was doing at Swansea. I think he's got the right attitude to adapt to the situation, and I think with Kroll, I think it was a lot of COVID that affected him when he got hit by COVID and all that. I think Moyes will give Downes more of the opportunity than he gave Kroll. I just think it's just going to be a little bit of time, especially as sort of the Carabao Cup. We're not playing that till much later in the season to what we normally would be. So that's why I think we're not going to see him as much. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm going to go 6 on him as well at the minute.
I'll give a 6 as well, Scott. I think the Conference League provides a fantastic opportunity to play players like Downes, and this is where we'll see if it's Alex Kral, or if it's a completely different scenario, which is Moyes is just hesitant to put him in just yet. And in all fairness, there's only been one game so far that I felt Downes should have played, and he didn't. And that was his second leg against Viborg. Yeah. The first leg, he had the injury. Moyes said he was going to play, but didn't because of the injury. So there's only actually one game so far. I thought, there was an opportunity to put him in there. So it's only one match. But when we first signed, if we did this when we signed Downes, I think I would have gave it an 8 or something. But I think I've calmed down a little bit and stuff like that. So I'll give it a 6. I've got high hopes for him. He's someone I had seen plenty of last season in the Championship. I'd never seen him for Ipswich, but I've seen him last season for Swansea. And him and Lewis O'Brien were by far the 2 best centre midfielders. And James Gardner, I suppose. They were by far the best centre midfielders in the Championship. And Lewis O'Brien stepped up at Nottingham Forest so far, I think. I've been impressed by O'Brien at Forest so far. James Gardner's did he sign for Everton in the end? I believe he did. Gardner went to Everton, didn't he, for 40 million? That went through, did it?
I'm not sure. I think so.
But that just goes to show the 3 best midfielders. One's doing it in the Premier League. The other one's just gone to Everton. We've got the other one. So I'm confident he can step up. I'm confident he's got the ability. It's just I'm not that confident he's going to get the opportunity yet. But as long as he gets it in that Conference League, I think we'll see what he can do. And that might force Moyes' hand a little bit when it comes to the Premier League. But I do think he's going to need an injury or a suspension to either Rice or Soucek before he gets into the 11. He could be man of match on Thursday night in against Bucharest. He still won't feature against Newcastle. Understandably so. He's got to earn the shirt. I just hope we don't have Alex Kral again. I'm not quite thinking that just yet. But there was always suspicion over this transfer. Let's be honest with you. We signed Mark Warburton, and within days, we signed Flynn Downes, whose agency is where Warburton's daughter is quite high up at. So you've got to be suspicious about this transfer from the off. And I just hope, The Athletic did a report today telling us that Flynn Downes has been staying behind after training to do work on his own. So love that attitude. And with that attitude, I think he'll step up. So I'll give that 6, but ask me in 6 months' time, guys, and I hope we'll be saying it's an 8 or a 9.
Yeah.
It could be one of them. Moyes is always going to be reluctant to play Downes because we've got a pretty solid centre midfield. You know, the positions he plays in. Rice, he's never going to dislodge Rice, not in a million years while he's still here. And he likes Soucek, and Soucek, you know, although he's been pretty poor in some of the games, not just this season but last season as well, Moyes likes him and he trusts him. You know, he likes him as that sort of midfield. I don't know what he wants him to do these days. Does he want him to defend? Does he want him to attack? Who knows? You know what I mean? Like it depends on the game, I think. So I don't think he's ever going to dislodge them two, unless it's necessity, like an injury, a suspension, and then he's going to have to come in. If he then brings in, you know, a Fornals and plays him deep, or Lanzini and plays him deep, then you know he's not going to get a chance. He could be, like someone said in the chat, he may well go on loan in January to get him some Premier League game time. Maybe someone like a Bournemouth or something like that. You know what I mean? To get him up to speed. But I like him because he's a West Ham fan. You know, as I said, we've lost Noble, so maybe trying to replace the same characteristics as Noble's got. You know, someone who knows the club, someone who's grown up around the club, and someone who can get to, you know, who can transfer his love through the squad. I think it's a decent signing, but just in terms of playing time, I can't see him getting much unless we're really, really desperate. It's a six for me. I think I said 6 for me. Fourth, probably the biggest signing and the most exciting signing of the summer, until a little bit much later on, was Scamacca, the Italian striker. It was just a relief to get centre forward, Gio, wasn't it? Just someone doing centre forward things.
Yeah, I think you made a good point last night. You said Moyes has skipped 3 transfer windows with no striker, saying, I'm going to wait. And we know he went after 1 or 2, Darwin Núñez, Yusuf En-Nesyri, and didn't get them. And this is the one he did go after and did get. So there's a bit of pressure. I think there's more pressure on Scamacca than any of the other signings we've done this summer to succeed at West Ham. And probably one that's going to sort of give Moyes a big budget next summer or not, because if Scamacca ain't working out, then when Moyes says can I have 50 million for a player, I think there might be a little bit of hesitation there. So yeah, no problem. There you go, Gaffer. I'll give it an 8 overall. I hadn't seen much of him. I had heard of him. He's been touted as Italy's future number 9 for quite a while. I've only seen him in an Italy shirt, though. I've never seen him play for his club. I've seen him play for Italy a few times, but I don't really remember seeing too much from him that got me excited. However, he comes with a huge reputation, and a lot of sort of football experts out there are surprised that he came to West Ham. We've just heard today from his club that PSG wanted him, and Scamacca basically said, no, I've given my word to West Ham. I'm going to West Ham. Now, we sort of appreciate Flynn Downes because he's a West Ham fan. Well, I think you've got to appreciate Scamacca for having that attitude, because we went after Amadou Onana, who then said, no, thank you, I'm off to Goodison Park. Thanks very much. So there's contrasting attitudes there. And I like that. And we've seen, unlike Aguero, where I can only really give him a 7 or something, we've seen stuff from Scamacca so far, and it's thoroughly impressive, albeit against sort of lesser opposition in European football. So, you know, there's been bits at Villa Park that was encouraging from him as well. So a lot more to come from him, but I'll give him an 8, probably an extra point in there because I'm a bit excited.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think it is. You see from the 2 European games, especially the goals that he's got. He looks to me like he will adapt to the Premier League quite easy. You know, I think it's just getting our players to adapt to him, if you get what I mean. You know, I think he's got to adapt to the game, the pace of the game, and the physicality of it. But I also think the players have been so used to playing with an Antonio and putting the balls through that they've got to realise they've now got a guy who can link the play. And especially with Paqueta coming in, the way he seems to be as a type of player, I watched him when he came on the other night. I see Scamacca, I see Benrahma, and I feel that there can be a connection between them players, because they're players that are going to look for them little passes round the corner, little 1-2 intricate touches. And also with Cornet and Bowen, I can see this coming when them two are playing wide, is they can now have that opportunity to gamble a little bit because we've got a striker that looks like he's going to win the ball aerially. Whereas Antonio, look, he does all right in the air, but when you're pumping a long ball up to him, if he's not over the top, I'm not fancying him to win it. And I know you see with the players' body language that they're not going to try and bust the gut to get beyond him because they don't do it. But with Scamacca, I see that already. And I feel that so long as we adapt to his game a little bit, as well as him adapting to the Premier League, I think he'll go on to be a big signing for us. But at the moment, from what I've seen, and like you said, Joe, just having a striker, I'm going to give him an 8 as well.
Peter Dinsey says Scamacca is going to be a disaster signing. I do think there's pressure on Moyes, and I did say this because he's taken so long to choose this striker. He's also got a bit of a cloud over his head because Haller obviously wasn't playing for us, and Haller got sold. And since Haller got sold, he's gone on to be nominated for a Ballon d'Or. He scored like bundles and bundles of goals in the Champions League, bundles and bundles of goals in the in his own league, which I know is only the Dutch league, but you know, the goals are the same size, and you know, you got to hit the net. So there's a little bit before we sign the striker. There's always a bit like, yeah, Moyes couldn't get the best out of a striker. Moyes couldn't, you know, work with him, and it all had to be done around him. Which I think personally it was the right choice to get rid of Haller because he just didn't work in the system that he wanted to play, and you have to work with a system that's working, and it was working, right? When he left, it worked. We got to the semi-finals of the Europa League last year. But there is going to be question marks. I know he's done it with the likes of Arnautovic. He's turned them in, you know, winger to striker, and he's trying to do the same with Antonio. And let's be honest, you know, beginning of last season, we was praising Antonio. We thought Antonio was going to be our centre forward that we've been looking for years and years and years. But he dropped off because he doesn't do centre forward things, and he gets worked out quite easily. I'm going to say an 8 as well, just because it's a centre forward. And we needed a centre forward, and I like the look of this guy. I think this guy's got all the attributes to be a top forward in the Premier League. I just, you know, I hope he keeps the faith, because where I think Haller dropped out is he was playing in a struggling team where we wasn't creating lots of chances and we weren't playing to his strengths. And I think he lost the faith in the end. You know, he knew the manager didn't have the faith in him. He knew the manager wanted to, even under Pellegrini, he knew that, you know, and he wasn't, I don't think he was confident enough in the players to pick up his runs. So the players have got to learn how to play with a proper centre forward again. But we have signed players to aid that. So we move on to I have seen some good comments for this one, and we'll come back to them later on. But our 5th signing was Cornet. Solid signing this for me, 7. Played in a struggling Burnley team. It's got pace. There's not really much to say about him. He'll do a solid job. I don't think he's going to be a starter every week, but he's definitely another dimension to our game.
I'm going to go a bit higher. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to give him a 9. This transfer. I think Premier League proven, good age, good goal scoring record at Burnley. He looked good at Burnley. He scored goals at Burnley. That takes some doing. I'm not even confident Scamacca could have got goals at Burnley, but Cornet's done it. Very versatile. Can play up front, can play on the right, can play on the left, can play left wing back, can play left back. Lots of different options for him as well. I think there's going to be a big settling period with him so far. I think I've seen examples where I think his runs off the ball are like something I haven't seen at West Ham for quite a while. A little bit too eager, gets caught offside a lot. But once he gets used to our team and our teammates get used to him making them runs, I think they'll click a little bit. And when you've got someone like Paqueta on the ball, he wants someone like Cornet in the team that's going in behind that defence and stuff. I think would have liked to have seen him a little bit more than we have so far. You know, I think against Tottenham, I was almost screaming out to see Cornet at one point because I didn't feel Bowen was having the best game. And I thought, come on, there's a guy sat on the bench. You know, Bowen's on the right, a left footer on the right wing. The system we were playing against Tottenham was working. We were all over them. We've got a left footer that can play on the right wing on the bench here, get him on the pitch. So I'll give him a 9. 17.5 million for somebody with that much Premier League goals and experience. I think is a snip, actually. I'm surprised there wasn't more and arguably bigger clubs after him, which should probably be cause for an alarm bell. But no, I was very, very impressed when we got Maxwell Cornet. I was buzzing with him, and I still am, actually. I think there's a lot to come from him this season.
Well, who would you rather have signed? All right, let's be honest, because we was linked with both of these at the same time. Sarr or Cornet?
Cornet for me.
Cornet.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's, Sarr looked good, but Cornet's got something more about him for me. I'm with what Gio said there. I thought he should have come on against Spurs. I think we should have seen a lot more of him. I'm still scratching my head a bit of how Bowen's played the amount of game time he has this season, because he hasn't started brilliantly. And he hasn't offered a lot for me in the matches, in some of the matches that he's played. And I feel that Cornet is a good player to step into that place, and I'm with you against Spurs. I'm sitting there thinking, bring him on. Bowen didn't do enough. Bowen had a better game against Spurs, but I thought a Cornet who was a bit more direct, he's probably a bit quicker than Bowen, would have caused Spurs a lot more problems. But, it's one of them things. Moyes does what Moyes does, but I'm with you, Gio. What you said when, again, like with Scamacca, when we get used to his game, he gets used to our game, and everything will click. There'll come a time where everything will click. I think we're looking progressively better as a side, bringing these players in, getting the more these guys train together, the better they'll be. So for me, Cornet, I'm going for an 8 as well.
Yeah, I think we're getting into our rhythm. Let me take a couple of super chats that we've got here from Josiah Green Moff. Scamacca looks like a good player. He will adapt to the Premier League, hopefully. And he also says Cornet 8 is a brilliant signing. A couple of more comments just before we move on to the next one. Cornet 9 will eventually get in at left wing and make the spot his own, but we'll probably have to make do with conference group stage games for now. Cornet can play in more positions than Sarr, says Dean and me. Matthew Ball says Cornet over Sarr, more tricky, better technically, I believe. And Hardcastle 1989, do you think Cornet could force Bowen out of the team? At the moment, yes, I definitely think he can. I don't think anyone should be, as good a season as they had last season. I don't think anyone should be immune from the chop, because I think that's where David Moyes sometimes lets himself down, is that he plays out of form players over players that could play, i.e. Saeed Benrahma. Last season, I think he didn't give him enough chances, and he kept on sort of sacrificing him for people that was out of form. But yeah, that's my opinion anyway. Okay, next one was my favourite one that I'm going to give a 10. Kehrer. Is that how you say his name? Kehrer? Kehrer?
We had this last week between me and Dan, because I was calling him Kehrer and Dan was calling him Kehrer. So apparently it's Kehrer.
Kehrer, yeah. 10 for me.
Yeah,
10.
I'm going to go a 9 for me. I think he's a quality player. I think he was thrust in a lot quicker than what Moyes would have wanted to, and you saw that he's still got to adapt to the pace of the game. You see that in the game against Brighton where he gives away the penalty. Against Spurs, I thought he was superb. There was nothing he could do about the own goal. If he doesn't put his foot there, Son is there to tap it in anyway. But I thought overall in that game that he showed the quality that he's going to bring to the side. And I think he'll make a very, very good partnership with Zuma. And it gives... See, I sort of think he's only been brought in because of the injury to Aguerd. I don't think he was originally going to be bringing because of that injury there. Plus Bonner taking a little bit longer to come back than what everyone thought. I think he was sort of not a rush signing, but a signing that was made off the back of the injury and the Bonner's recovery. So yeah, I think he looks solid. He's going to be quality, but I'm going to go a 9 on that one.
Yeah, I'll give him a 9. I hadn't seen him at PSG, but I seen him at Schalke when he was a lot younger. Very, very bright defender, read the game fantastically well, but he was very aggressive back when he was in Bundesliga. Like if a striker would drop off, he would run after them, and it quite often caused him a lot of problems because he would get found out or he was committing stupid fouls. And I do think there's an element of rashness about him still. You saw it for the penalty against Brighton. Now, I don't blame him for that per se, because Zuma sold him out. Zuma went off down the pitch and left Kehrer in a suicide position.
Yeah.
But he still didn't have to fly in the way he did, right? He should never have been put in that position. And I still think there was a moment against Spurs, he flew in on Son, and luckily he won the ball. I thought, if you don't win that ball, that's a yellow card, and VAR's checking that just in case it's not a red card. So he's still got that element of aggression about him. But him in possession is unbelievable. Him with the ball at his feet is like a centre midfielder. The shot that Antonio had that hit the post against Spurs, when you go back and watch it, Kehrer's got the ball and he's facing Fabianski. It must be Kane right behind him. Most defenders in the centre back just give it back to the keeper. There you go, easy ball. But he doesn't. He zips it into Pablo Fornals' feet through Soucek and Rice into Fornals, who then flicked it around the corner, got wiped out by Sanchez, and Antonio went and had the shot. That pass was unbelievable. I can't remember who it was against. It must have been Viborg, the first game against Viborg at London Stadium. Again, he got the ball, zipped out to Ben Rama, who went on the run and gave it to Antonio to score. His distribution is incredible for a centre-back. I've been extremely impressed by that. Come the end of the game against Tottenham, he was swinging in the best crosses I've seen all game. For 89 minutes, the crosses were pretty average. He wandered up the pitch and started belting in these worldy crosses. I thought, hang on. And I thought, if only Scamacca was in the team tonight, he would begin on the end of these. And I'm very, very excited to see him play. And I agree with Scott. Would we have signed him without the injury to Aguerd? I don't think so. I think with that injury, Dawson getting injured, like you said, rehab to Ogbonna, being delayed. But I have a theory, and that is, in the last year, we would have been scouting Aguerd religiously, but not just him. We wouldn't have one guy on the centre back, and that was it. Bear in mind we moved quick for Aguerd, so that gives the impression Moyes' priority was a top centre back. So we wouldn't have scouted one man. We would have scouted a handful. I am going to give the club the benefit of the doubt that Kehrer was on that list as well, just that for whatever reason they chose Aguerd when Kehrer was maybe second, third, fourth, fifth choice. That gets me even more excited to see Aguerd, because if Thilo Kehrer is this good and they chose Aguerd over him and he was more expensive, then just how bloody good is Aguerd? I can't wait to see him. But for Kehrer, I'm going to give him a 9. Very impressed so far.
Do you know what? I would have gone, if we was doing this and he just signed, I'd have probably given him a 7. I'd have just said, I spoke to a friend of mine that supports PSG, and I said to him, what do you make of him? And he's like, we don't really like him. And I was like, oh, God. And when you hear that sort of thing, it's like, you think, have we just signed him to fill a gap because Ben Johnson's playing at centre-back? Obviously, you have your doubts at the Brighton game. But the 2 games I've seen him, the 2 full games I've seen him, he's been composed. He's ate everything up. He can be a bit rash. You are right. But he's got, as much as he can be rash and he can run out to people, he's got brilliant recovery speed. And he's excellent on the ball. His distribution and the way he comes out of it, he reminds me of Rio Ferdinand. He really does. He reminds me of the way Rio used to come out with the ball. First time I've seen it for a long time. But when you look in that position right now, Aguerd's injured, I know. There's 4 centre backs there without Aguerd that could quite easily come in and play. We know Dawson can play. He's going to give his everything. I'm so glad he stayed, by the way. I'm going to give him a special mention at the end. Dawson can play. We know Ogbonna can play. Ogbonna's got a bit of class about him. Zuma can obviously play, and Kehrer can play. They can all play. If they're all fit and they're all playing well, you couldn't turn around and definitively say, oh, it's going to be, if they're all fit, it's these 2, because it could be any of them. That's a great position to be in, And I think one of the things that we've done this window is we've strengthened from a position of strength rather than a position of weakness. But some have been necessities because, we've let people, sort of rot away in the reserve sort of thing. But there are some positions that we didn't really like. A couple of seasons ago, we wouldn't have been signing a 5th centre back. We wouldn't have been, they would have just said Johnson can play there. That's it. Whether he can play there or, he plays well or not. But we've strengthened there. So yeah, really like him. I'm really he's the one that I'm looking forward to seeing the most. But as I said, it's only the last 2 games that have swayed my decision to give him a 10, because he's the one. Honestly, I like a good centre back, and I used to love, as much as Rio's a dickhead now, and people don't like him now. I loved him as a player. Could never, ever, ever sort of question his caliber, you know, and he went on to be one of the best in the world. So, yeah, I like defenders like that. It says here, Kehrer was 6th. This is Don put this up, and he says Paqueta 7th, but Emerson came before Paqueta, didn't he? So Emerson from Chelsea, the left back. Where do you rate this one?
Scott, how you start, mate?
Okay. We're rating the transfer, right? The numbers in regards to the transfer, not the player, right? Just
transfer regard, yeah.
5, 6, 5. There's a lot of left back football snobbery from me on this. I'm aware of all of it. I have warmed to it a lot more, I'll be honest with you. But initially, I was quite disappointed because we were linked to some what I would consider top class left backs throughout the summer. Calvin Bassett, Owen Wijndal, and I was licking my lips at the prospect of this, you know, mid-20, early 20 top class left back coming in and almost making the spot his, undisputed for the next few seasons at West Ham. And when it was Emerson, there was an element of me disappointed. Now, like I said, I'm rating the transfer here. If I was rating the player, I'd give him a 7, or probably a 7. I'd give him. But you know, I think he's a good player. I think he's a good left back. I think he's a good addition to the squad. I closed my eyes and dreamed of someone like Calvin Bassett coming in, and we haven't got that. And for me, it's taking the shine off a bit. Like I said, this is no reflection of Emerson. This is a reflection of what I wanted in the transfer window, and that is it. Good player, looked promising so far without pulling up any trees. Will have a big part to play this season, whether it's left back, left wing back, possibly even left centre back at times. But I'll give him a 6. I'll give it a 6 overall.
Yeah, no, I see. I know where you're coming from, mate. It was, when you look at the players we were linked with, it was sort of a disappointing one. But I work with quite a few Chelsea fans, and they're the older generation Chelsea fans as well, not the modern day Abramovich era Chelsea fan, and they're quite disappointed he left because they rated him as a left back, as a wing back. They said he's quite a solid, tidy player. And I think, in a way, again, I think it's a transfer that fits with what it seems Moyes wants to do, to have this versatility in the side. You know, I wouldn't be overly comfortable in playing as a left back, as an out-and-out left back, if you get what I mean. But as a left wing back, he's a massive upgrade on Masuaku.
Yeah.
You know, he defensively more than anything else. And, you know, he will get forward. He will get crosses into the box as well. But yeah, like you said, it was disappointing with the names we were linked with in that position. But I'm going to give him a 7. I'm going to say a 7 on that one because I think he will. He adds that versatility to the formations we can play, and I think he will be a good signing for us.
I'm going to go 5.
Ooh.
Yeah, 5. I'm not impressed by the signing really. I think they pressed the button on him because he was available. I think there was bigger names that they hoped would get in. People like Kostic.
We went to Chelsea to get Conor Gallagher and came back with Emerson. Yeah.
I wasn't impressed with him at Villa. I'll be honest. I wasn't. I thought he was awful, to be honest with you. And you know, is he going to be solid? Yes, he'll do a job, but I don't think. You know, with Cresswell aging and with him struggling at times, he's not one player that I'm going to say, yeah, he's definitively going to take Cresswell's place. I don't think he will, to be quite honest. So Cresswell's going to be the left back. And we've seen already this season that he's got a couple of mistakes in him, Cresswell. So I think it was a bit of a panic buy. They knew they needed a left back. We was very short after selling Masuaku. That being said, he is an upgrade on Masuaku. So, yeah, it's just that I want to see improvements in all of the positions, and I don't think that Emerson definitively comes in and takes Cresswell's place, which is what needed doing, in my opinion, because Cresswell's getting on. He's struggling a little bit. Nothing to do with him, And I want to see people like Cresswell not become the Kevin Nolans of this era. And that's become the villain. Leave while you're the hero. Don't stay around long enough to become the villain, which is what happened to Nolan. He isn't picking himself. He's doing his best he can, but unfortunately, sometimes time and age catches up with you. And left back is a position where you have to be a young, sprightly kid, really, because it's all about pace. That being said, he can play centre back, left centre back if we play in a free. But with Kehrer there, if we play a free, he's playing left centre back, and I think he does it better than Cresswell, because coming forward with the ball and his distribution, when we play free at the back, it's a big part of the game, isn't it? Cresswell coming from that centre back position to sort of become a third winger at times, get up the pitch, and they can afford to leave 4 back. And yeah, it's one of them where I just don't think he improves anyone in that position. It's still going to be Cresswell, and it'll be Cresswell all season. So yeah, I'm going to set a 5 for that one. And last but not least, and we'll let you go, Gio. I know you stayed a little bit longer.
That's all right. There's no Premier League football on tonight. It's fine. I'm only missing West Brom, Burnley. It's not the most glamorous of fixtures. Saying that, Burnley are a pretty good team this season.
Yeah, decent team under company. Yeah, I like watching them now. It's Paqueta, Lucas Paqueta, who, after Scamacca, we didn't think anyone bigger than Scamacca was going to come in, but he's come with a big reputation. He's come with, a lot of clubs chasing him. Was he just what we needed? Let's go with Scotty first.
But I don't know a lot about him. I've only listened to what people have said. When he come on, he showed flashes of good touches. He wants to get involved. He's not going to be a luxury. Looking at him, he's there to win the ball back. He's there to press players. Unlike with some players of that quality on the ball that he's got, they're there just as a luxury. Give them the ball, they'll do the things, but they're not going to do the dirty work. He seems to be interested in doing the dirty work as well. So I think he's going to fit the Moyes way of playing perfectly. And again, I said this in conversations after the game against Spurs. The problem for me with him, I think he's on a different wavelength to some of the players that he's going to have playing around him. And there's going to be an adjustment. You see at one point against Spurs, he picks up the ball. He looks up for Antonio to make this run. And Antonio don't make the run. So he then has to check back. And again, I feel this is where, with Scamacca being in the side, he's going to make that run. Because it's a run a striker's going to make. It's a run an intelligent player's going to make. And I just think it'll be a little while for him. I don't think he'll have a problem adapting to the Premier League. I think the problem is going to be the players that we've got adapting to his game. But from what I've seen of him, from what people have said to him, he is going to be a big, big player for us. So I'm going to give him a 9.
Agree with that, Gio?
At least I'm tempted to go to a 10. I agree with what Scott's saying, and I'm almost putting a bonus point on there because David Moyes himself has said we didn't go for him because we didn't think we'd get him. Even Moyes seems quite surprised that we managed to lure him here. And a lot of people, this transfer, by those in the know, those that know him a lot, like some Vickery, a South American football expert and stuff, they think this is a coup for West Ham United, and they were all expecting him to go to a Champions League club. And there's almost like a shockwave going through football that a Champions League club didn't go get him. And there was definitely an impression given that when we were in the latter stages of the negotiations, certainly 1 or 2 clubs in Champions League football tried to come in and get him because they thought, oh no, we were waiting for him. We're going to have to go now. And we were there first kind of thing. And this is the one transfer, everybody that we've signed, I do feel like we're punching above our weight a little bit, getting him in. And he could be the answer to everything. When you think about what we've been lacking since Christmas, I think we've been pretty poor since Christmas, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. And,
the first few games this season, the creativity was shocking. It was poor. I had little confidence. We didn't score a penalty goal. Our first goal was in the 4th game of the season, which took an incredible deflection. And we're just missing somebody that's going to come in and just create things, somebody that's brave, somebody that's going to take on players, strike fear into the opposition, because he who shall not be named did that when he was on loan with us. When he came into the team, he said, give me the ball and I'm going to run at that team. And that defensive midfielder is going to back off, or he's going to foul me, whatever. I'm going to have their defenders retreating 5 yards every time I pick the ball up. And we've got that with Paqueta. And like Scott said, we've not picked up a luxury player. We picked up somebody who's got a bit of grit about him, somebody that will get in and defend. I like my stats, as you two know. And when you look at his statistics compared to other attack midfielders and centre midfields in the top 5 leagues in European football, and we're talking about, Mason Mount and Kevin De Bruyne and Naby Keita, we're talking about players like that. He's in like the 98th percentile for creativity and stuff. That is like Kevin De Bruyne statistics numbers.
Yeah.
This is potentially Brazil's number 10 at the World Cup.
Yeah.
You're not Brazil's number 10 if you're poor. They've had 1 or 2 shockers over the years, like every other country has, but they're on a massive upwards trajectory at the minute, Brazil. This is an incredible signing. I'm still in disbelief we've got him, actually, and it's pinched me. Is it real? I'm still in that phase. I've seen him come on and play for us. I still don't believe that he's a West Ham United, but I'm expecting some sort of Tevez and Mascherano thing to come out after this. It's all that's surprising. And the good thing is, for me, my options for picking a country at the World Cup has increased now. I can add Brazil to the quota. I've got Tilo Kehrer in Germany, Areola France, Declan Rice England, and Paqueta Brazil. I mean, it's not a bad 4 to pick from, is it?
That's it.
No,
mate.
it's decent.
Not
Yeah.
a bad 3 to pick from.
I'd go beyond the 10 for the terms of transfer. I've got to say, a player it's always seen big money where they big performances. We've seen the like bands and they're coming for big money and they're quite worked out. And supposed to be
You're breaking up, Nick. Yeah.
I think he was trying to justify giving him an 11 out of 10 there, Scott.
Yeah.
A substitute coming on the pitch. Paqueta being subbed on against Spurs. There we go. Where's my ovation like Paqueta?
We can tell Moyes ain't in charge of this because that's a 47th minute substitution. Way too early.
But he subbed off the right man this time in Nicky. He should have subbed off Bowen. That's it's been. I still don't know. I know we're being all positive and shit, but I've had the journey from hell, so I'm ready to rant on some shit. So where we can get to the ranting stuff.
Before you rant on anything, Dan, give us your view on the Paqueta transfer and what you rate it out of 10.
Yeah, I mean the Paqueta transfer, like I heard a bit of what Gio was saying in the backstage, and I think he's spot on. It's an exciting transfer. It's that creativity that we needed. I've seen a lot of comparisons to him being the next Pint, but I think as he may not offer as much like technically on the ball, the free kicks, and he is technical. He might not do the same thing going forward, but I think his all-round game, he offers so much more for us than Pint ever did. His ability to put in tackles and press and do all of that work, some of the dirty work, his physicality. He's got all of that to his game, plus, the technical brilliance. So it's really a superb signing. And just seeing the little bits I could see from him when he come on the game, in the game, I was so impressed. I could just see, even though he didn't get to impact the game massively, you can just see the sort of player he's going to be. But the window, I'll probably give it either between an 8.5 and a 9 out of 10. And because a 10 out of 10 is perfect. I still think we needed a centre midfielder next to Rice. I think jury's still out on Emerson for me. Jury's still out. I not say he's bad, but I was really hoping for that next step of left back signing. If we got that would be one of our we'd make a big striker signing and a big left back signing. I wasn't expecting a big attacking midfielder signing like Paqueta, but I was hoping for a top draw left back. Emerson's not been bad, but yeah, I think that's just holding it from being perfect. you know, for me. So I don't know about you guys, but yeah. I mean,
Well, I'm just
it's hard to achieve.
I just hope Emerson's not tuned in tonight. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, listen, he's like I said, he's got. I think he's got something to prove at the club for sure.
Just for context, Dan, me, Nikki, and Scott all said similar things.
Right.
We've raved about every transfer, and it came to Emerson. And to be fair, Nikki went in 2-footed on him. I felt a little bit. That was definitely like VAR stuff. What Nikki said about Emerson. But yeah, to be fair, I'll give the club the benefit of the doubt, because with Emerson, I do wonder. I mean, the budget must have been impacted by us signing Kehrer. I don't think we were planning on buying him. Like me and Scott were discussing, that it felt like it was a bit of an emergency signing because of the injuries to Aguerd and Dawson and Diop wanting out and stuff. So we have had to buy Kehrer, and we weren't planning on it. Then the budget had to take a dent somewhere. And I do wonder if perhaps left back is where we've gone. That's where we're going to have to claw back some of the money. And the budget for the left back perhaps shrunk Thilo Kehrer size. I don't know. But it did feel a little bit like it wasn't part of the plan to some extent.
I do think he's an upgrade on Cresswell, though. I do think it will be an improvement on what we've got. Not necessarily prime Cresswell, but like current Cresswell, I think he'll be better. So it's an improvement. It's not the improvement I wanted, but you know, I think it's still an improvement. It makes the overall team stronger. The overall team's stronger for it. So that's a benefit. So yeah, I think he's got something to prove at the club for sure. So we'll see.
No,
You're really bad. Like, it's your audio's fucked up. It's like, all right.
I think overall, this is the best transfer window we've had for me.
Yeah.
In recent years, this is the best one.
Yeah, I tweeted out. It's the first time I've been relaxed on transfer deadline day. The first time I've not been like, "Oh my god, are we going to get a striker and are we going to get this?" And I was like, "If we sign, like," because I just thought whoever we would have got in on transfer deadline day, it wouldn't have been anyone impactful. It wouldn't have been anyone that I would have been that bothered. Like, oh right, now this is. It was just we'd done the business we needed to do. You know, it was great.
Yeah, I'm being greedy and saying I would have preferred another striker, but I said overall, I think it's a 10 out of 10. I really do.
Mate, I've said this on Twitter. I'd be interested to hear Gio's thoughts on this. You know, he thinks about these things quite a bit. But I've said I would have the option of Soucek as our third striker and play him there.
I've seen that tweet, Dan. I thought you were off your rocker.
No, because it's. I just, you look at his movement.
Apart from him scoring headers, what evidence have you potentially got? His movement comes from running deep. He can't do that if he's a striker.
Yeah. A lot of people have compared it to the Fellaini role, not like overall out and out number 9, maybe false 9 or something like that. But I just feel like in terms of being a midfielder, he has like some of the defensive sides down, but in terms of like ball progression. With the ball, passing, things like that. I just don't think that's the role for him. And I would just like to give him a chance in that position. Because you think about it, he's more mobile than Andy Carroll. He can score with his head, can score with his feet. He is good in terms of making those runs into the box. And sometimes strikers, that's what they do. I think him being in there as a target, he could do that. He'd be better than, I'll tell you what, he'd be better than the majority of the fucking strikers that Gold and Sullivan have signed. Without a doubt. Without a freaking doubt.
That's not saying much.
No, it's not. To be fair, it's not. But do you know what? I would, like I said, I think he'd be more mobile than Andy Carroll and actually a more physical presence than him.
The only problem, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The only problem I'll have with that, Dan, is, like, and I mean this with the greatest of respect to Thomas Soucek, he hasn't got fucking 2 brain cells to rub together. He hasn't. You got to have intelligence to play up front. That's why I used to play up front. You know what I mean, Scotty?
I don't know, mate. I see a lot of strikers I've seen that don't have the 2 brain cells.
It's not, but you know, the ones that don't have that ability, the striker's instinct. They have athleticism, and like he's not the most athletic. He's tall. That's it. He's tall. Yeah, I think he plays okay in midfield. He hasn't got any sort of know how to change up his game at all. He's going to play one way and one way only. He's never going to be a striker. What are you talking about? Go back bed.
He's not good enough for the position he plays. I'm sorry.
Doesn't mean you put him up front.
Yeah. So what are you going to do? You've been moaning about Antonio for a year, and then you put fucking Soucek up front.
But that's essentially all Soucek's got to his game. Really, his goals. Really and truly, what is he? His goals. That's what he does. And do we need?
Because he
goals?
runs from deep.
Yeah, but do we need that from our centre midfielder? Or do we need?
Yes, he scores goals.
No, like
it's got the equaliser on fucking Wednesday.
Dan, have you seen his stats against Spurs?
He had a good game against Spurs, right? He had a good game, and he made some forward passes. But you have to do it over the course of a season. I can't
so maybe
just
now,
here and there.
Maybe now this is the game that he kicks on, but he ain't no striker.
But the thing is, the problem is his goals have always.
What about Dawson? Dawson scores goals. Why don't we chuck him up front?
No, because Dawson scores from set pieces. He scores from set pieces. He don't make runs.
Because he's a centre back. If he was a centre back,
that's what I'm saying. But my point is that Soucek is not good enough to be our first choice for that position because he doesn't do enough.
That's a completely different argument, though. Yeah. You're now arguing why he shouldn't play centre midfield.
No, I'm not saying he could be our first. Like Scott's crying about not getting a third striker, and I'm saying this is a third choice. I'd say
fucking hell, we ain't even had one striker. Let's give the one that we've just bought a chance before we start chucking Soucek up front.
If you're sitting saying someone's pay a third striker, but you want with Scamacca and Antonio being, you've got Bowen, you've got Cornet. You can play a false nine with any of them players.
Last 10 minutes, shove that big lump up front.
Wait, hang on,
that's another different argument.
Exactly. No, but that's what I'm saying. That's what a third striker is. A third striker is not starting for you.
No, that's not Dan. That's when you're 1-0 down in the game and you want to pump the ball up long. That's why you shove a Kurt Zuma up front or something like that because they're going to win the ball in the air.
No, he's a choice. That's what I'm saying. He's an option. He's an option to stick him up front. But fucking
Moyes is an option, but I'm sure they're not going to use it. But let me just tell you why I think Paqueta is an 11 out of 10 signing. Now you can hear me, right? So this one come from nowhere, from absolutely nowhere, and he's a player that slipped through the cracks. He slipped through the cracks for a lot of clubs. A lot of clubs were looking at him, right? And they never thought that they knew that the bigger clubs weren't going for him, yeah. And they thought, right, we've got other positions to think, but if we've got enough when we, at the end of the transfer window, we'll go back for him. And if we don't get him now, he's definitely not going to go anywhere until at least January, right? So he slipped through the cracks for a lot of clubs. Then we came in, and I'll be honest with you, when we went in for him, it stank of we tried signing. That's what it stank of, because we let Lingard hot trot off to Nottingham Forest. It was like, well, we sort of like lost out on him. The fans had their heart set on him. Let's go for a big name signing. He's never going to come to us. Like as Moyes admitted, he never thought in a million years he's going to come for us. They were surprised that the Leon president didn't think that Scamacca was going to say yes, because he was saying, I can't believe it was just West Ham. I can't believe that no bigger club's coming for him. So it was one of them ones that slipped through the cracks. We've given him, an offer, and he's turned around and went, yeah, all right, let's go. I'm up for that. And it's surprised, it's shocked like a lot of people in the football world. Like a lot of pundits are shocked by the signing. A lot of players, a lot of fans are shocked by the signing. And I think, hats off, because, we've seen Moyes get into these positions before. Sorry, not Moyes, Sullivan get into these positions before, get his bid accepted, and then fucking lose his nerve at the last minute and think, oh, for fuck's sake, Onana, let's he lost his nerve on Onana because he was 50. They slapped a £50 million bid in. They accepted it. The player was like, all right, let's go. They tried to, like, from all accounts, they tried to half his wages at the last minute, and he thought, no, I'm not having that. There's another bid for me. So it was always one of them ones where I thought, yeah, something's going to go wrong. And then there was all this talk about, someone's coming in at the last minute. I never thought he'd get over the line. Then when I saw him sitting there talking to Bazinga, I was like, what the fuck? We've actually done it. We've actually fucking got this one over the line. I've been waiting 6-7 years for that since we got to the London Stadium to actually go for a top player, talk to him, secure a fee with a club without proper pissing them off, and then, you know, not threaten to sign someone from PSG as a replacement and actually get it over the line. It went to plan. It was unbelievable. I haven't seen that from West Ham. So in terms of a transfer, 11 out of 10.
I mean, impossible, but sure.
Yeah. I think beyond a 10, beyond what I would have ever.
10, yeah, he got to go up to 11. It's one more than 10.
Yeah, I have to. But that's it was the most shocking. Okay, let's let Gio go in the next 20 seconds. Let's just get a quick roundup of the transfer window itself. So the whole in a whole, what would you rate it, Gio?
9. Like I said, we've still got one squad place available. You know, when we come to register our Premier League squad today, I believe it had to be registered. There'll be 24 players going in, so there was a space there if we wish to bring in an additional player. We still have our 2 loan spots available for Premier League players if we wish. Now, I admit, looking at the loan signings I've gone around, there's nobody really that went on loan from one Premier League club to another. I thought, oh, we've missed out there, so fair's fair on that one. There is maybe 1 or 2 signings I wouldn't have minded. You know, Billy Gilmore going to Brighton for 9 million. I thought, whoa, that's a bit of a could be a bit of a steal, that one. But I think he's like the most Brighton player I have seen ever in terms of his passion attributes and stuff. That centre midfield area, I just feel like we could have done with one more. And I know we were trying to get Conor Gallagher in on loan. I think there was always an element of ambition / being a bit unrealistic there, especially when, you know, a week ago he started. I know he got sent off, but he still started for Chelsea. You know, the first 2 games he came on as a sub, and the third one he's starting. That would suggest he has a role this season at Chelsea, but yet we were still trying to get him in on loan. I mean, they're not going to do that. Clubs like Chelsea, Man United see West Ham as a threat now. They're looking. We saw it with Jesse Lingard. They're looking at us thinking that lot, we're not doing them any favours. I know they sold us Emerson, but I think they got a reasonable fee for him as well. I think both clubs came out of that one looking quite good. They're not going to loan us players to help us out with the season, but as somebody that could just be a bit more ball carrier from centre midfield, Lanzini with a bit more physique about him, I think would have been ideal. Who I don't know. I'm not a football expert. I'm just an opinionated Scotsman with a webcam that doesn't want to see Soucek up front. But somebody, I think there was room for one more in the middle, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
Fair, mate. That's fair.
Not Ross Barkley, can I just add? Not Ross Barkley.
Yes,
he's not the progressive centre midfielder.
Someone's asked about that, actually. So if someone actually put that as a comment, would you like to go for Ross Barkley?
Well, the thing is, Ross Barkley, as Gio just said, we've got a squad place to fill. Ross Barkley is about the only one of note that you could sign right now because they cancelled his contract. No.
Fagouli's not got a club.
Yeah,
I would rather take Fagouli.
Fagouli, Simone Zaza, Juan Mata.
I actually loved Fagouli. I like.
See, Mata would be someone I'd take in just for his experience. Like but he'd be a good one to have around because of the experience that he'd bring.
I'd rather have kept Martin Noble for another 2 seasons than get bloody Juan Mata in for his experience. He's well old. And like he's probably on a lot of money as well. Like Ross Barkley, he was on 200 grand a week at Chelsea. Juan Mata's probably on like something similar.
Yeah, but when they got to a club, I think they're I like to think their contract negotiations.
Yeah. You say that, but fucking Lingard played a blind, didn't he, with Nottingham Forest? But
there was interest.
Yeah, these players, there's no interest. Look at Diego Costa's still on a free as well. I think. Yeah, I'm sure he's been free transfer for the past 3 seasons. You know,
it's been a while.
Yeah, you know, Matt would be the one for me out of them that are available.
Just quickly sum it up, Dan. Quick.
What? The window.
Rating.
I did it. I rated it. I gave it a 9, 8.5 to 9.
9.
Yeah, I gave it a 10.
I'm going to say 9 as well. Gio, we will let you go. I know we're eating into your evening. Thank you so much. If you want to go and see any more from Gio, he does excellent content over on Hammers Chat. I'm sure most of you know and already subscribe and watch them guys over there. So, yeah, go and check him out. But thank you for joining us this evening, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers, Gio. Good to see you, mate.
Cheers,
Good evening.
Ciao, mate.
There we go. There's some comments in the comment section. So who's been starring them? You?
There was two super chats while you was off. I picked up them ones.
Oh.
See you later.
Thanks, Scott. Oh, your Pixel's got a friend now, is it?
It's got two, man. They're breeding.
Yeah, no.
They're breeding.
There he is. What happened?
I don't know. I just disappeared. I had a grand moment.
You should have started all the comments saying that I'm a genius for the Soucek comment.
Page 179 said Dan smashed it on DR Sports, showed the spuds.
Oh,
and
he was crying,
another
mate.
£5. Dan is back. My man is back.
Shout out
very
to
much.
Zaya.
Is there anyone that you like shoving it down their throat than Tobes more, Dan?
No, it is beautiful. It is. Oh, he gets triggered so much. He gets so salty, and that was when Soucek, because he was slating Soucek. Soucek's a bum. He's trash. He's a shit player. And who scored Soucek? Beautiful.
Were their bums flapping at the end?
Yeah, they were shitting themselves. They could not believe it. And oh my god, if we would have scored that winner, it would have been absolute scenes. Oh,
Do you think over the course of the game we deserved to win that one?
We did, yeah. We had the better chances.
When I look back at it, I thought a draw was a fair result, but when I look back at it, they didn't have much, Spurs.
No,
didn't have much at all. Like
especially
in terms of chances. No,
Perisic was ruining Soufal on, in the first half. He was taking the piss out of him, to be honest.
Yeah, he's a good player though, Perisic. But when we picked up that game second half, Antonio hit the post. We had two rolled across. The one that rolled across, they didn't show it in the highlights, but the one that rolled across that was left by Paqueta and Fornells, I think it was. It might have been someone else.
Emerson. It was Emerson.
Emerson and Paqueta. If one of them had just taken a chance, either of them it goes in. Yeah.
That's just
especially
lack
Paqueta.
of understanding and
If Paqueta would have just took a chance, mate, he would have took the roof off that place. That would have been a dream debut for him. Scoring a winner against Tottenham, coming on and scoring a winner against Tottenham.
What was Moyes thinking? Putting Bonner at left back against Richarlison, because Richarlison was
Dan, it was putting at first. It was putting him at left back against Kulikevski.
Yeah, he had him there. Yeah, then Richarlison.
No, I thought he went 5. I thought he went left centre back.
No, he had Bonner. He had Bonner at left back at first for a while. It was a disaster, and then brought Emerson on, and then moved Bonner into that left centre back role. But if he would have stuck with that, we probably would have ended up conceding, because Bonner did not have the legs to cope with Richarlison.
You see it that straight away when he done that, they looked to bring Richarlison on straight away. They got him warmed up and on as quick as they could, and then we bring on Emerson, and it sort of counteracted that. But that was a bit weird for me in that game. I thought Cornet might have, as I said, I was surprised Bowen lasted the 90 minutes.
Bowen last 90 minutes?
Yeah, he was unlucky. At the end, he put in a good ball in, and he missed that one chance. But overall, I thought he shouldn't have finished the game, personally. But saying that, I thought he had a better game than he had.
But that's not saying much.
Yeah.
Oh, you're breaking up, mate.
You're breaking up again, Nick.
No.
But yeah, I thought,
he's on CCTV.
It did surprise me, didn't it? It surprised me quite a bit.
He had a couple of good moments, but there was that moment when he gets into the box in the first half, didn't he? He had that moment and takes a shot a few times. It's just his decision making was really bad. He was playing like he was drunk, falling over the ball. But he had a couple of good moments of play. But overall, he was the weakest player on the pitch, and should not have lasted the 90. And he needs to be dropped to give him a kick up the arse.
But I'm sort of hoping that his performances will continue to improve. It's a big game Saturday now.
But what's he going to go? He went from a 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10 against Villa. And he's 3-4 out of 10 against Spurs, and we're going to hope to get 5 out of 10 against Chelsea. It's slow progression.
Yeah, no, that's it. But he'll get there, mate. He will get there. You've seen it. We've seen it before. Look, this time last season, Dan, we were saying that he needs to improve in the final third, and he went on and done it. So, it's one of them. Look,
he's just. It seems like he's regressing. That's what I worry about.
No, I just think he's had a tough start. That's all it is.
Let's see. Josiah, Josiah there. 5 pounds super chat. Scamacca looks like a good player. He will adapt to the Premier League, hopefully. Bloody hell, Josiah, save your money, mate. Jesus. Cornet, 8. Is it payday? 8.
We've already read these out. These were earlier on.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, unstar these.
But no, thank you for all your super chats.
Oh, shout out Josiah.
Let me deselect the ones we've already gone through.
Yeah.
Sean Solar says it in terms of Tottenham, the 3 points were there for us. Spurs are unbelievably boring now. You know what? That's a danger for them because they're not as free flowing as I think they would like. They've got some unbelievable attacking talent, but the way Conte sets up is he does like to set up, a defensive type of football. He does like to play out from the back. And the two that they had there playing at the other day, they couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. And Lloris is losing his distribution. There's a feeling, and there's amongst the Tottenham fans, the ones that I've spoken to in work and stuff like that, that they're getting a little bit frustrated with the way Conte's playing. And that could spill over if they start losing games, to be honest with you, which is unbelievable. But
I'll tell you that lot are never happy, are they? They're never.
No, happy. I don't think so. No.
And the thing is that the one thing I liked about us on Wednesday night was we earmarked Sanchez as their worst defender. Every time he got the ball, we put pressure on him. We didn't put pressure on the others; we put pressure on him, and a lot of the time he buckled. And the thing is that will continue, and they'll get found out. And they fell through. They fell apart as part of their own game. They tried to time waste. All that malarkey with Holberg. That look, I know because I weren't at the game and I couldn't get on the reaction, but him going down the way he went down from a brilliant tackle from Declan Rice, then rolled about on the floor. Why he's rolling about on the floor like he's been shot? Looks at the referee to see whether the referee's booking Declan Rice or sending him off. Rolls around for a bit more and then realizes, I can play on. And then, just tried to time waste through the start of the second half, and it affected them in the end. They disrupted their own game. They shot themselves in the foot with their own tactics. And I know there's a lot at the moment being said about the amount of time the ball's in play and all this. I think they were saying, I think on average it's around 60 minutes that the ball's actually in play in the Premier League so far this season. And that's with the 5 substitute rule and all that, it's quite ridiculous that we're only getting 60 minutes of football from a 90-minute game.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're trying, aren't they, with the little bits they're doing of having all the balls and shit like that. But
they're a funny breed. Them, they was moaning at the fact that the penalty was overturned, saying that VAR shouldn't have got involved, which was it's bewildering because it didn't go their way. That's why. It's bewildering saying VAR shouldn't get involved. It wasn't a clear and obvious error. The ball hit the geezer's head.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if that's not a clear and obvious error, then I don't know what the fuck is a clear and obvious error. He thought it was his hand and it was his head. All right, I know it ricocheted onto his hand, but the ball hit his head. Then there's nothing you can do about that when someone's smashing the ball at you. But how can you sit there moaning about VAR when in the last game VAR should have ruled out both of your goals and you literally got handed points on a fucking plate?
Yeah.
Well, is that what they want? That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They're turning into Arsenal. This, don't challenge us. We're the elite. They're not. Do you know what I mean? They're not the elite. Like with all due respect, they're a good team, and I like the way that they've done their model and all this sort of thing. And I think they've gone about things the right way. But whether they like to admit it or not, they're not an elite club. They've won one. League Cup since 2008. Leicester City have won the Premier League and the FA Cup since they've won. They can't class themselves an elite club as much as they want to say Super League and all this. They can't. They can't class themselves as an elite club. They can't. They're delusional. They are.
How do you feel about your prediction of them finishing second right now? Are you still backing that?
Yeah, they're picking up points still. I think they will click at some point. I really do. I don't think they'll drop. I think they'll click. And when it all clicks, it will. You know, it will be good for them. I think Arsenal will fall off. I don't think Arsenal are going to maintain this mega style. It's just Arsenal, isn't it? It's just the way they are.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
They've had a pretty good start as well, Arsenal.
That's the thing. Some teams get off to a flyer. City are going to win this league, hands down. City.
Yeah. I think they've already won it, to be honest.
Yeah, and they're not even top at the minute. They're
nah.
Honestly, because I weren't there, and their game kicked off 15 minutes before us. I flicked over during half time to watch it, and they just took the piss out of Forest. Absolutely took the piss out of them. You know, they just played the ball around like they weren't there, and then when they wanted to score, they scored. You know, and Haaland's a machine. He's a machine.
What is going on with him, man? He's like a robot.
He is. He is,
isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's 21 years old, built like a fucking Viking. He's fast. He can head the ball. He's got strength. He's got pace. Oh my god, he's unbelievable.
Just think if he.
Do you think he could be the best in the world in a minute?
Striker wise,
yeah,
it's still his potential. I think it's still early to say. I think it's still early doors. Like he's still young. If he maintains this, yeah. I mean, the numbers he's put out already in these few games is insane.
But he has maintained it, hasn't he, in 3 seasons?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
he
can do it in the Premier League.
Someone in the chat might correct me, but the fastest player to score 2 hat tricks, I think, was in 20 Premier League games or something like that. He's done it in 5.
Yeah, that's insane.
You know, this is the thing. He's he'll smash it. Yeah, all the Liverpool fans sitting there going, "No, he won't beat Salah's apparent record of 32 league goals," but Andy Cole and Alan Shearer scored 34. But hey ho, Liverpool make it up as they go along. He's going to smash that all day long. All day.
Well, speaking of young players,
yep.
No, I had no idea how to transition that smoothly. Ashby, Paul G. Ashby thoughts. He apparently wanted to leave. He wanted to go Newcastle. The deal for $2 million was the apparent deal, and it didn't end up happening. He's still a West Ham player on the last year of his contract. Thoughts?
Concerning the amount of prospects that want to leave very early into their career. I don't know whether that's a reflection on West Ham or that's just a football problem where, these, especially with the likes of Newcastle, offering them quite a bit of money at a young age. I don't know what it is.
Probably a combination of the two.
Yeah, it's a bit concerning, but when you look at Moyes and his reliance on youngsters, doesn't really, does he? Doesn't really.
You could understand a young player wanting to play football. There's too many young players for me in the modern day game that are happy to earn the 30, 40, 50 grand a week just for being in the squad. And Trevor Sinclair said it a while ago. When he was coming through, by the time I think he was 22, 23, he'd played 100 league games. For the clubs that he was playing for, and now you've got players calling themselves football players who play 1 or 2 games in 5 or 6 seasons. And you can't knock a player for wanting to leave to play football. Do I think Ashby would have got a lot of game time at Newcastle? Definitely not. It was probably more financial package than game plan package. But I like that kid. I think he's a good player, and I think he's going to be perfect for what we want from our fullbacks, especially going forward with the likes of Scamacca. Ashby can put a very, very good crossing. He's quite physical. He's quite quick. He wants to get forward, wants to get down the wing. So I'm hoping it's, right, look, he just wanted it to go. That's fine. But I hope he gets his opportunities, especially in these Europa Conference games, because I think he has got something to add to the side.
If he don't sign a new deal, do we give him them opportunities? Because we could develop him, give him some crucial,
like Ngakea.
Yeah, exactly. We could give him like Ngakea, crucial first team game time that someone else could have had, and then he fucks off to Newcastle. To me, I've been a big fan of him. I've backed him. I've praised him. Unless he signs a new deal, fuck him. Honestly, that's my opinion.
I think he's well thought of in the club, and it's a weird one because Ngakea was in a sort of a similar position, really. At the moment, that right back spot isn't secured. Soufal's had wobbles. Johnson's had injuries. So there's that's a position where if anyone's going to break in, if you're going to get someone playing at centre back at the moment, they're not going to get in. Baptiste and people like that, they're not going to get in at centre back. We've got 5 first team, top quality centre backs at the club. But at right back, Soufal still wobbles. Johnson is injured. He's had a few injuries. He could get in. He could have to play there, and he can like a bit like Johnson did when he had to play as a necessity rather than being picked. And he has secured himself slowly but surely into the first team. So, it's definitely got to be a financial sort of incentive.
Dino H says there. Sorry, Dan. As Dino H says there, agents. That's the other thing. Agents, we know they're one of the worst things in football, but they do get in players' heads. But going back on what you were saying, Dan, about us developing him, if he gets a run of games in the side, he might want to sign a contract because he then thinks, well, I'm going to get given a go here.
But he might. He might. But the thing is, Scott, we played him in the beginning of the season. He played in Europe and then still wanted to leave. And we're banking on maybe here's some, and then if he becomes a crucial part of the setup, right, and he plays those games and he comes good, he's going to go and see, well, now I'm going to ask for ridiculous money because now I've got myself as a crucial part, and he's going to try and do sort of like a link. Let me play these two clubs off and get the best deal.
But the problem, what I would say to him in that situation is look at Ngakea. Kid thought he was better than what he was. He had a good run of games in the first team and looked like he was going to be potential. Now, where is he?
He needs to earn it. How many kids his age are starting regularly in the Premier League?
Yeah, unless you're a special talent, you don't start in the Premier League. Unless you are special.
Very rarely. It's very rare.
Name the last player to break into a first team and have a massive impact at the age of 17?
Probably Trent. How old was Trent when he broke in? He was pretty young.
But they're very rare. Very, very rare. Very, it's a rarity to have them type of players in. It's one of them. You just got to. If he has the right players and people around him advising him, he should just bide his time. If he hasn't had a sniff by the time it gets to the end of the season, then go earn your stripes somewhere else and end up getting bought back by West Ham later down the line.
Well, I don't know. To me, I just think, he needs to show the right mentality and the right attitude. He needs to show he wants to earn it because you've got Soufal and Johnson who both deserve their positions. That's who you're competing with. So work harder than they do. Put the shifts in and show and take your opportunities. And when we've seen him, he's been good. But you've got to keep pushing and really earn it because you're 20. What's he? 20? He's just turned 20 years old. That's nothing. But it's 21, 22. Maybe that's when you can start to come through. 23. How old's Ben Johnson? He's older than that. He's like 23.
Yeah, 23 coming on 24. Or
he's only just been establishing himself in the last season, really. Since Scamacca left and he started to really, and even he's not starting week in, week out.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. He's young, but it's the wrong mindset, and they want it all now. I think a lot of these young players want it all now. They see other players, maybe they go to the England under-21s and they see, like, you know, some of these other players at the Man Cities, the young players, and they've got the flash cars because they're getting paid silly money, and they want all that. And it's the wrong mentality. So yeah, that
was the whole reason that, you know, years ago Glenn Johnson got pushed out of the England under-21 setup because he was being flash around the other players. You know, and that's the thing that you want it all, didn't you? When you're got the opportunity to be a professional football player, you want the money, you want the life, you want to be playing football. But overall, everything is playing football. Because you're not a footballer unless you're playing.
Exactly. He's just, I've big doubts on him. This is an interesting topic that apparently you guys haven't covered yet, so I'll put it up. I don't know if you have, let me know. Did you hear that West Ham escaped FFP, but have been warned about it? Yeah, I just see this. Mad.
FFP isn't worth the paper it's written on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Look at Everton, right? The amount they've spent, and all right, I know they extended the spending cap because of COVID and all that, but they're getting away with it. What is the point? No one ever does anything to clamp down on sides doing it. There's so many loopholes in it that the people that put the FFP in place can't afford lawyers to do it properly, that a club like Manchester City and PSG can take their lawyers to court and pull them apart. It's ridiculous. And then you look at that and look at our net spend over the past 3 or 4 years. You know, we've broken it once and we're being warned about it already. You know, we barely signed anyone the season before last for big money. We made you know, and net spend over the past 3 or 4 seasons hasn't been brilliant. And now we're being warned about financial fair play. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, I completely agree. And you know, obviously Everton, you know, just go over it. And they've been spending silly money for years. I don't know what Aston Villa's situation with it, but part of my feeling with the FFP, I don't know how I feel about it, because you want to protect some clubs from themselves overspending well beyond their means, but at the same time, it prevents clubs outside that Sky Six from actually being able to grow and compete, because it's based off of your revenue. Now, Man United, no matter how shit they do, they're always going to generate a shit ton of revenue.
Yeah.
So they're always going to be able to spend silly money. Whereas us, you know, we've been able to, you know, increase it a bit by having more games and having a good run in Europe. Obviously, we've increased our stadium capacity, stuff like that. But those clubs that are established, and obviously Man City snuck in before this all came in, they're set because their revenue's they're always going to get the biggest chunk of the pie. So it stops the rest of us being able to go, do you know what? And like owners to say, let me pump a good bit of my own money into it and really have a go at this and try and crack that. It's kind of corrupt in a way, really. Because Man City have always gotten away with it, really, whenever they've been challenged.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, Barcelona, look at what they're doing. You know, how can a club in the amount of debt that football club's got be allowed to sign players? Be allowed to like get away with not paying a player his wages for the period of time they did it? You know, it is a ridiculous joke. You know, and as I said, for me, it's just, you know, take no notice of them, because it's just they're a pointless body. It's a pointless.
But the thing is, knowing how things go, will be the club that gets serious sanctions, because
of course it would be.
That's how they go, isn't it?
Like, especially if we were to win a trophy or break into that top 4, mate, they'd be coming after us like no tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's a boys' club. We all know it's a boys' club, and you know this is why they're going to try and take Newcastle down eventually.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it. They need to. Football should be about leveling the playing field and giving other clubs a chance.
mm-hmm.
No, and that's what you used to get back in like the 70s and all of that. It weren't obviously you had clubs once you were good, you could Liverpool were a top club, but there was always a chance that other clubs, out of nowhere could rise up and climb and scratch and claw, and there weren't this lengthy periods of dominance as much by that many clubs as there is now. So football would be much more interesting, much more exciting, I think. But yeah.
No, you are right, mate. If there was a level playing field all the way across the board, it would be much more entertaining, much more interesting. But it's you look at UEFA don't like the Premier League. I think a lot of clubs in this. What have we spent? 100 billion this year, Premier League clubs on transfers.
Seen usual. I don't know if I can read that out. Sorry, I just seen Usual Suspects message, and I'm like, "What? Did you read that?"
But no, I ain't seen that. But yeah, you look at that. Clubs around Europe have benefited from how strong the Premier League is. Look at Ajax. Ajax have earned a ton of money from the Premier League this season. And this is the thing. 1.9 billion. It's mental the amount of money that has been generated from the Premier League, and it goes. It's going where it's going. Clubs are holding Premier League sides to ransom a little bit because they know they've got the money.
Yeah, and I think obviously that's within their right. I think to do that. Obviously, we get the money because we're the most watched league, in the world. It's the biggest, by far the biggest, and the biggest money earner. And I don't blame foreign clubs for capitalizing on that. The thing is, this idea that, and they've been trying to push it, like the Man United and all that. Oh, we should get the majority of it because people watch for our clubs, and we'll go to the fucking Super League because without everyone else's clubs, there is no Premier League. If they just had them six between themselves playing each other all the time, I bet you it wouldn't be as fucking big as you see Man United versus Spurs fucking 6 times a season, whatever.
That's it. And then sides get fed up because you're gonna have similar sides finishing top of that 6 and similar sides finishing bottom. So it's the way for me that you put stop to that Super League or anything like that at the end of the day is every other football club don't deal with them.
Yeah,
because they soon run out of players.
Did we read Walker's super chat? I can't remember.
No.
I back Soucek, but hasn't added anything in the build-up for a while. In the midfield is where we struggle and why we've not controlled games this year. Yeah, that's the point. I didn't quite get out. Right, yeah, goals are great. And yeah, if we can score goals all around the pitch, up front, from midfield, have some defenders chip in with some set piece goals, that's great. But as a midfielder, I don't want that to be your primary role because Soucek's never going to score 15 goals in a season for us. He's never going to score enough goals to counteract what he lacks in contributing to the midfield. So I would rather take away some of the goals from that position, have someone in there of quality that can help feed the forward players and help them score more goals, because that's probably going to allow us to score more goals overall. So as much as 8 goals a season is nice from Soucek, I think by having someone of real quality, like say Paqueta, I much would rather him play him up front, in the number 10 role. That's his best position for me. However, he would be much more effective than Soucek in that sort of number 8 role next to Rice. And that's the sort of player that we need. Not necessarily has to be as technically, wizardry as Paqueta, but just that bit more of he can offer in terms of getting on the ball, getting on the end of it, quick passes, pressing, being able to dribble, all of that stuff.
The problem is, Dan, the way we are at the moment is a big part of the way we play.
But
that's
we
how
need to change. I think we need to change the way we play, because
but which is what Moyes looking at it wants to try and do.
Yeah, you don't sign Paqueta and play how we've been playing.
No,
you just
and that's exactly it. And that's what we were saying earlier on is the signings that have come in are going to take time to bed. The change of the system is going to take time to bed in, and that's what we need to do now. You know,
there was a couple of times when we went long in that Tottenham game, and I thought, like, we've just brought on £50 million magician Lucas Paqueta, and we're just bypassing him completely. We're just going over his head.
Yeah,
like, and we can't be doing that.
No, and that's. But as I said, when you look at the signings, you look at the players. We've got ball playing defenders as well. You know, there's a change coming. There's a change coming. It's just we need just players to gel and bed in together. It'll be a little while.
Yeah, we got to play through Paqueta. I think we have to.
Yeah, of course you do.
You know, just counter-attacking down the wings and whipping in crosses. No, I'm not saying we should never do it. Not saying we should never go long, never counter-attack down the wings. But I'm saying it can't be a primary.
We have options now to play different styles and different ways.
Yeah,
that's what you got to look at. You know,
this is
we can soak up pressure and counter attack, but now we've got a player that can pick a defence part, which is what we struggled with.
Yeah, we've got to add tools, multiple tools to our tool set.
Exactly.
This is. I just wanted to pick this one out quick because I see something today. So Peter says, can't see Downes getting out of bed. There's been a lot of frustration or worry or concern over Downes, what his future is, what his role is, how Moyes sees him, does he rate him, is he going to get a go? I read something that's saying that Downes apparently has been putting in extra training in order to impress Moyes.
When before you came on, we touched on Downes when we was rating the transfers, and Gio brought up about that he's been staying behind with training, stuff like that, and that's what you want to see for a player. You know, Moyes said he probably would have started the game against Valberg, but picked up the injury. But then said he's not ready. He's got some learning to do. And then Downes come out and said, I found it hard. You know, I found it tough. I thought I was ready. The level is a step up. And I know, when I said this before, with what I feel he's been brought in for is to shadow a player, to learn from a player, to take up a role within the team when a certain player is missing. Not replacing that player as saying that he's that good, but he's here for a reason. And I think he'll adapt. I really do think about because I think he's got the right attitude.
Yeah. He's clearly got the right attitude, got the right mentality, and that's like players like Ashby could learn from that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not getting in the team. How can I get in the team? Well, maybe I'll maybe I'll stay late in training. Maybe I'll get in early in training. Maybe I'll put in some extra shifts. Ask for some extra time. Do something. Pick the older players' brains. Ask for tips. Ask for advice. Go Soufal's there. Ask him, what can I do to my game? What have you done? And things like players that are there. And I think like Downes, that gives me so much more confidence because he has got quality about him. There is something there in him. He's very highly rated. And yes, it is the championship, but he's still showing he's got something about him. So having that aspect.
Also, again, with Downes, he's sort of a defensive midfielder. From what I've been told about him, from what I've seen of clips of him, he's a defensive midfielder who likes the ball at his feet. He wants to play, right?
Yeah.
Again, with the players we've now getting, with Paqueta, players like that, who are going to be looking for the ball, who are going to want the ball. Once Downes, I think it's more his energy levels and his adaptability into the Premier League, the speed of the Premier League and all that.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
It's once he gets the hang of that, he's going to be a perfect player to be playing in the side with Paqueta because he's going to get the ball. He's going to look up. He's going to want it to play it to a type. He's sort of the way I sort of look at it on the ball wise. He's a bit like our Leon Britton was for Swansea. Do you know what I mean? Because when they had that really good season, Swansea, he was the top passer accuracy in Europe. He was higher than Javi and all that. And Downes seems to be that type of player, but he's more of a ball winner as well. So it's just, again, adapting his game to the physicality and to the pressures of the Premier League. But then I think once he can get in that side, he will add something, especially with players like Paqueta, Cornet, Benrahma, them type of players.
And you look at it like the best players have all had that same mentality. You look at Di Canio. I'm not comparing him to Di Canio as a player, but he was always one. First to arrive and train, last to leave. Ronaldo, like
Ian Wright.
Ian Wright, yeah, all the best players had that about them where they would train, they put in, and even Declan Rice. I've seen Declan Rice give this advice to kids and that. The biggest thing he did, put the time in on the training field. Put that time in and you will get better. And that's
you saw that when Soucek and Soufal first come over, first started playing. They were coming in training on their days off. And then that then encouraged other players to come in on the days off and train. And that's what you need. You need good influences around a football club like that. It's in a way, Downes probably would be better if it would be better for him to have a Noble to learn off of as an understudy type thing. But obviously, if we still had Noble, Downes wouldn't be with us.
I hope he comes back as Noble. I know he's enjoying his time off.
Yeah. I think he'd be good to have around the dressing room, to have around the training, just to be a role model around the younger players.
Yeah.
Someone who's, he's been at the football club for such a long period of time. It seems bad that he's sort of left and, look, he deserves a break. Don't get me wrong. He deserves a break. He's probably going to do his coaching badges and all that. But I still feel that it'd be good to have him around the dressing room, Someone who's been there through it all. The goods, the bads, the uglies, the lot,
Yeah. It don't look like Nicky's coming back.
No, I don't know whether he's had computer problems, but
yeah, I think he's probably got the ump with it and went fuck it. But yeah, I don't know. Was there anything else that you touched on that's come in the news? That's been up.
Come out? No, not really. You had the random video of the young lads.
Oh, yeah,
turnstiles.
Yeah, what did you think about that?
Right, so I agree with what a lot was said reading through certain people's Twitters. It's very hypocritical of a lot of people who used to sneak into Upton Park. But they shouldn't be doing it. And I never snuck into Upton Park. I stopped someone sneaking in with me when we played Frankfurt in the semi-final. Because for me, I've paid my money for my ticket. Go pay your money for your ticket. I get the kids. I get they come from a poor area. I completely understand that. They're stupid for filming it.
Yeah.
But for me, look, we criticise Liverpool fans for sneaking people. we criticise Liverpool fans for the Champions League final for sneaking in people. So we can't be on one hand sitting there saying, look what they're doing. They're wrong for doing it. They ain't learned their lesson. But then going for these young kids, it's fine. They're young. I snuck into Upton Park, blah, blah, blah. You can't have one rule for one and one rule for another.
Yeah, I think the difference is, like, where I look at the Liverpool, it's like loads of adults that should know better, that just want to get in and a higher volume. And look, I'm not saying that we should just let people sneak in. But, like, to me, when it comes to the monetary, so like, I don't mind. Like, I pay a lot of money for my ticket. If these kids can sneak in and they get in, I would do it. Listen, I've grasped myself up here. Come for me. I've streamed games on the internet where people pay money for BT Sports and all that shit. I won't. Give me some dodgy sites, right? So listen, I'm not innocent in that. I haven't snuck into games before, but I know lots of people who have. The problem is, the kids aren't who people should be angry at. I've seen people call them every name under the sun. They're not what to be angry at. It's the stadium security. If they can sneak in and get in free, go for it. That's that's the stadium's problem. You got a free game out of it. Good for you. Enjoy it. Don't sit in my seat Don't inconvenience me. If you want to stand up somewhere and no one's going to stop you, that's on them. But for them to be able to so easily get in and film it, and then they're filming themselves one of the stewards at the end, it shows you what a shambles the security is. And this is the problem. I can't just make sweeping statements about the stewards because they've brought in a few stewards from Upton Park, right? Some that I know who are really good. But the problem is there's not enough of them. They're employed by the stadium operators. They ain't got a fucking clue. They don't give a shit. There was a geezer near our section, Scott, who had a full Spurs tracksuit on. And it took for things to start kicking off for them to get rid of him. How did he get in there? How did he get through all of those processes, all them checks, and he got in? It's fucking madness. But the kids, they haven't hurt anyone. They ain't done anything wrong. So people going after them and calling them names and abusing them, that don't make sense. Lots of kids would do that. Well, look, we all got up to shit as kids. We all fucking did.
That's it. Look, as much as I don't think it's right, I'm with you, mate. It's down to the security. That is awful. And Dom said there, what happened with the guy that I didn't let in through me? He come in later on and was sitting in Nicky's seat, and Nicky moved him on from there.
I was I think it was the Brighton game. I think it was either the Brighton or it might have been the Brighton game. I saw kids. They go to this one, and then someone's like, "You piss off," like whatever, and then they go to the next one. They do it. This isn't the first time. It's like these kids. They go round to all the turnstiles. They see which ones they can get in. Because listen, fucking Premier League football's expensive. They want to see a free game. If you knock yourself out, however, do you know how much ag it is for me to get into this fucking stadium as a season ticket holder who pays a shitloads of money for my season ticket? It's ag. I can't even bring a water bottle in there. And these kids could just film themselves, la-dee-da, fucking getting in for free, sliding under while where are the stewards?
Yeah, that's it. It's more for me. It's more the security factor of it all.
That's it.
Look, as I said, I don't agree with it, but it is security risk. It's awful, and it could lead to the club getting in trouble, which we don't want. And touching back on you saying about the guy in the Spurs tracksuit, apparently there was 2 people in the crowd in Chelsea shirts.
It's fucking stupid.
And I heard saw on Twitter as well. Apparently there was someone walking around in a Leicester shirt or a Leicester tracksuit. Yeah, why are these people still being let in the ground? And why are they, when they are in the ground, they're sitting there in the crowd, why are they not ejected straight away?
It's huge, and that's a safety issue because that Spurs geezer could have got a real battering, and it started getting a bit airy for him. He could have got hurt. Maybe he could have, them. Maybe he could have, because the security's on it. Anyone could have a knife on him in the ground and shit. These kids could have snuck in with some knives or whatever.
But the crazy thing is that gets me 2 people sitting at a West Ham Spurs game in Chelsea shirts. In what world, you get battered by other support, with that. It's just crazy. It is crazy.
Cockney U5, Clee don't know my last name. But look, the thing is, it's my mindset is I'm the mindset is if I'm in a fucking supermarket and a geezer's robbing a sandwich, I ain't gonna go and tackle him for robbing a sandwich from Tesco's, right? If he needs to do that, then you do it. It's none of my business. It's for the fucking security's job to stop you robbing that sandwich. If you do it and you get away with it, that's up to you. There's much more serious things that people are doing in this country that people getting hurt by, that we need to worry about than some little kids sneaking into a fucking football ground. Lots more of things to be concerned about. There's a cost of living crisis going on, and these kids, they want to let themselves have a bit of entertainment. Am I encouraging it? No, I wouldn't say kids go and sneak in, because you get caught, you can get yourself into some shit. But am I going to vilify kids that have done it? No, I'm not. Well, I'm not going to do that. It's the fucking stadium. It's a joke. So I don't know why people are so offended that I'm sticking
That's
up.
it. Like you said, it's not at the kids. Look, people who are having a pop at the kids. It's not the kids. They've done it. They've got away with it. It's the owners of that stadium really need to be looking into the fact that they got away with that.
If anything, they've done us a fucking favour by exposing it, by putting a spotlight on it and showing them, hello, this is a problem. Like, because kids have been doing it before. These are the first clowns to film it, and I will say they're stupid for filming themselves. You're grassing yourself up.
Yeah.
But
it's the same. Do you remember? I think the second season, Dan, you could walk under one of the bridges, along a path and cross another bridge to get in the ground into the island side without going through security. You know, now they've put a stop to that. But these are all little things that you look at from a security point of view that should have been recognised.
How many people snuck in at the last game of Upton Park? Shitloads. Fucking shitloads of people. And that's the thing. No one was calling them rats and scum and
no, exactly.
You know, all of that stuff. But just a bit of perspective. The Super Chat, Harry Page. Cheers, mate. Dan, can you tell everyone how you stole Tobe's socks? Fucking hell. No, this is so my mate, Tapping Tobes, he's a Spurs fan who have a bit of rivalry with. We go back and forth on a lot of shows with each other. And we was on this watch along. And it's getting heated, you know, insults are flying back and forth. And he's there with his fucking turn-up jeans, jacked up, with no socks, or his invisible socks, as he calls them. And we were just rinsing him over the socks. Someone said his toes expecting a flood. And, oh, mate, it was chaos. So I'm glad you enjoyed that, Harry. It's always good to wind up a Spurs fan. So that's just out of nothing. But Steve Bell, if I saw someone nicking a sign and asked me to get one, a lot of people, I used to sneak in under the gates when I was a kid in the 70s. Nothing new. Predictions for tomorrow. Yep, we'll definitely get to end it with some predictions. Lots of stories. I don't know about you, Scott, if you heard story. I know you said you didn't sneak in, but you obviously know people that have.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that have through the years, and to be fair, mate, I think there was a lot of. I know it's the social media side of it. A lot of people, I think, criticising or having a pop at these kids probably did it as well. And you know, it's glass houses. You know,
yeah, exactly. It's just that people, and it's all that kids today thing. When you're moaning at the kids today for doing what you did when you was a kid, it's controversial. I really don't. I don't think that's controversial. You know, there's lots of people needs not.
Listen, mate, I've been in Waterloo at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. The geezers come up to me trying to sell me a load of Red Bull, and then openly just said, "Yeah, I just nicked it out the Sainsbury's down the road." You know, it happens quite a lot. That, mate, it happens quite a lot.
Yeah. It was I can make a bald joke as well. That's how great it is. It's like when you're a member of the bald community, you can make bald jokes. But no, I said to the guy, because he started really giving it, right, and saying, and he's like 2 inches taller than me, and was like, oh yeah, Tyrion Lannister and all of this shit. And I was like, I said, look at you. I said, you fucking wear a hat everywhere just because you're ashamed of being bald. You know, and like, because he's got the hairline, he's always wearing his hat, and he's like, oh, I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. Look. And then you see his fucking horseshoe haircut. It was, at the time, honestly, like I said, it was chaos. It was chaos. But, the prediction for tomorrow. This is a weird one, man. This is a weird one.
Well, Chelsea have been a weird side this season, haven't they?
Yeah.
You know, going up to Leeds, and they go up to, was it Leeds away? They got battered. You know, a game you wouldn't expect them to get beat, and they did.
Yeah, Southampton beat.
Yeah, so they're a bit hit and miss. I sort of feel that we've turned a corner.
Yeah,
and I think this could be a good time to play Chelsea. I'd be more confident if we were at home. But because we are at Stamford Bridge, we don't have the best record at Stamford Bridge. They have still got players to hurt us, but they're just not playing too well. And I just feel that we're a bit more robust at the minute than we were when we went there towards the end of last season. I think we were missing players. Was Zuma injured for that game, or he got suspended, or was it Rice or something like that? And
we were missing.
I'm sure we had one centre half at the point when we were going there. But I just feel that the way they are at the minute, I think, as I said, I think we've turned the corner. I think the performance, especially in the second half against Villa and the second half again against Spurs, it fills with a bit more confidence. If we were going there after the Brighton game, I'd be worried. But yeah, I fancy us to nick this one.
Ooh,
I really do. I'm going to go for a 2-1 West Ham.
See, because I agree with everything that you've just said. They're shaky. I think we are improving. We've got some of our new players. Hopefully, should be able to play in that. I'd start Paqueta. Hopefully, Scamacca is back, because I think if we had Scamacca, we beat Spurs. I really do. I think Scamacca. If you have Antonio on the right, Scamacca up front, I think we win that game. So I think Scamacca with Paqueta. Yeah, I think we've got enough there. There's something about Stamford Bridge. It's few and far between the wins there. I think I've predicted a draw 2-2. But I can really see a win. I'm just too cautious. I'm not, based on how the season's gone, I'm not ready to predict that big of a win. I need to see more. But like I said, Kehrer seems to be really coming into his own. Of course, he made the two mistakes he made. I can't even fully blame him for. The own goal was unfortunate. Maybe his body positioning should have been better.
He had to go. If he doesn't go for it, it's a tap-in. So,
Yeah, exactly. And then, the penalty, it's Zuma's mistake. He literally makes a split decision, which if he connects with that, he's a hero. But he doesn't, and takes the guy out. But that doesn't detract from all the other good defensive work that he's done. So I think having him and Zuma there, if we get play Emerson, Soufal, that's a good back line. I think that's solid. And they're having trouble scoring. I've predicted 2-2, but they're having trouble scoring really. And they haven't. I don't think Aubameyang will play. So I think
he's injured. I believe Aubameyang. I think he's out. I think he's out. Yeah, he's sank with his jaw. I think he's out for about 4 or 5 weeks. But
he got robbed.
Yeah, Brozer's just signed a new deal, 5-year deal now.
He's not fit though. I don't think, is he?
I think he's fit. I think he's just not being picked.
Because he was injured at the start of the season.
Yeah. But he worries me. Out of all their players, I know they've got Sterling. Sterling's got a decent record against us. And he is a massive threat. But Brozier's the one that worries me, because for Southampton, especially when we play Southampton away, when he come on, he tore us to pieces.
Yeah.
And it could be a tough one. So
I'll be interested to see, because he hasn't been starting. So I'll be interested to see what he can do. But I was talking to a Chelsea fan, and he thinks the only new signing that will come in is Fofana, which is going to really improve them defensively. So it could be 2-2 might be optimistic, maybe even another 1-1. I could see. I just think we're both seem to be strong defensively. We both just need to find the goals, and I think with Paqueta, that could be that X factor, especially with a Scamacca up front, that could help us get that 2 wins, 2-1. So I think that's a shout. So quickly, someone said, I'll just get your thoughts on it. I did get a lot of stick for this. It was everything I say is super divisive. Like I said, the Soucek comment, there's half people calling me mental, and the other half going, actually, he's fucking really got a point there. But Steve says, Dan, saw you get a bit stick about your comment on the wall separating the away fans. Let's discuss. I agree with you. Yeah, a lot of people was unhappy because, well, one, I was like, it's just, I looked at it and I just thought, like, the ground, I've been feeling that feeling of like just not enjoying it. The atmosphere, the Man City and the Brighton game was horrible. You see that wall there. I think it has an impact. People go, "How does a wall stop people from?" Every little thing affects the atmosphere. Like the drinks, people are boycotting the drinks. Fans not drinking less affects the atmosphere. That's why early kickoffs have worse atmospheres than later kickoffs because fans are drunk less. The wall, that corner is usually where a lot of noise gets going.
It's where you get the football banter between the home and away fans.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't get the wall. There's not been punch-ups between our fans getting to the away fans.
It's like one game where who was it? What was that?
When they threw the bottle, the big water bottle thing over.
Yeah, that our club gave them.
Yeah,
that the club gave him as a drug.
That wall's not going to stop that. You know, and that's the thing, and it does kill the atmosphere. Look, none of us want to see violence at football or anything like that, right? None of us want to see that in the ground and stuff like that. But there's not been that. It is just the banter between the fans and all that. There's a big gap between the home and away fans in that section. There's not between the home and away fans in the stand, where where the stand splits in half of the home and away fans. There's not a gap there. So you could say you've probably got an argument for putting a wall there, but it's just silly.
It's silly.
You don't see it at other football grounds. It's not needed there.
Yeah.
And for me, it just it's a money saving thing by the stadium, because then they haven't got to employ more stewards or put police down there.
Yeah. I just think it's all those little things, and the ag of getting into the stadium is even worse now with these stupid NFC tickets.
Yep.
The queues, because people are fiddling about with them, trying to fucking work it and get it sorted, and I'm just standing there. Fucking.
I told you the problem I had with my one with the first game of the season. Yeah. I had to turn my mobile data down to 3G only.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
Yeah.
It's absolutely pathetic.
And that's the thing. And people were saying to me, well, you go to the game to support the team and watch the match, watch the football. I don't go to the football to watch the football. I promise you. If I wanted to just watch the football, if it was about watching the football, I'd watch it on the telly because you actually see the game. The amount of the game I miss in the ground is ridiculous. And Scott can attest to this. Someone talks to you, the other team scored, you've looked away, you turn around, you don't get a replay, you don't know what the fuck's happened. You got to wait fucking ages so you get to finally see something online or something. You go for the experience in the enjoyment. Football, it's entertainment. And people say you support the team. I'm not a martyr. Of course, I love supporting the team. I love supporting the team with the atmosphere, the songs, all of that. Not just by being a body in a seat. That's not. I don't pay 700 quid a month to be a body in a seat to be supporting the team. Supporting the team is the songs, is the loudness. It was so flat at Man City, so flat at Brighton. It's just, I love the experience, and there's certain things that are all adding up that are hampering the experience. They're hurting the experience. And I'm not saying, just because that's my feelings about the stadium, I'm not saying to anyone it's wrong if you like it, it's wrong if you enjoy it. I'm just sharing my feelings and how I feel about the stadium. There's lots of things we can do to improve it, and maybe we should be vocal. But everyone's so defensive. So defensive.
I think you went 700 quid a year then.
What did I say? A month?
700 quid a month.
The season. I tell you what, though, it won't surprise me. It won't be with the way this cost of living's going. It probably won't be long before it's 700 quid a month.
That's it, mate.
But yeah, it's just, that's what I mean. I'm just saying, look, enjoy it if you enjoy it. But I feel like there's a lot that can be improved. And we spend a lot of money and a lot of time to go there to not enjoy the experience, for the experience to be subpar. And like for a watching experience, I'm more entertained and enjoy watching the football more on the television. Yeah, because I can see all the game. I know what the fuck's happening. I like being at the ground because I like being with my friends and my family. Me and Scott, we have great chats, don't we, while we're watching the game and talk about stuff like that. But at the end of the day, there's so many times where something's happening down the pitch. You go, what the fuck's happening there? Who scored that? Who assisted that?
Yeah, you're relying on someone else around you who's actually watched it.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who's seen it, or someone who's got better eyesight than you. That's like can actually pick out, because it's hard to pick out who's who, like, especially where we are, because we're like in the corner. So everything's up our end. We have an amazing view on this side. Yeah. Anything up that side, it's fucking touch and go. It's we're low down as well. There's amazing views up there, but I like. That's why I always like always enjoyed the away games better, because the fucking atmosphere, like, there's nothing better than. And we was there for the Lyon and Sevilla games. Oh man, amazing atmosphere, electric. You can't. And I'm not saying it's incapable of that. It's just few and far between.
Yeah, and that's it. Look, you normally get a better atmosphere on the bigger nights, the bigger occasions, the bigger derbies.
But that's why I thought the Man City game, because traditionally, you go back to Upton Park, right? Man United were the best team going, right? Amazing. You don't expect to beat Man United. Those atmospheres were always amazing because the expectation wasn't there. So it'd be anything that you could see positive. It gets you going, like, oh shit, we've just had a shot against Man United, like that. Like Man City with Haaland and all of that, it was so flat against this team that's a fucking like the Premier League champions, like 2 fucking years running, and won it how many times out of
exactly, and that's it. And it said things like this will just they dampen it a lot. Dampen it a hell of a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And that was my point. So many people got upset about it. It's mad. It's crazy. And negative. It's like, I can't, like, not everyone. People want people to be positive about everything all the time. Like, you have to be positive about everything all the time. I can say how great a signing Paqueta is, but I can't say, you know what, I don't enjoy the stadium. I've got to love everything constantly, and life's not like that. Exactly. And I'm just expressing my opinion of how I feel at the time. If people agree with me, tell me you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, say why, but don't get fucking defensive about it. Don't get upset about it. It's just my fucking opinion. You can tell me why you like the stadium, but people got really upset. So yeah, there's my little thing about that, because I completely forgot about that. So, Dana, you prawn sandwich brigade? Absolutely not. The thing is, I'm not the one. I've said all of that. I'm not the one to start the chant, because I am deathly afraid of starting the song and no one joining in. That's one of my biggest fears. I start coming out going, I'm forever blowing, and no one's there. It's like, that guy. And it happens. I've seen it happen around us a few times. It does happen. And it's like shit. Like, I try and wait for like a few people to
then jump in on that.
Okay, it's going to be going now. Let's go. So yeah, I know I should be the guy, but I'm too scared.
That's it.
So Roy May will come in, and I suppose bring it to an end with this. Good old Roy May Jr. $20 super chat.
Right, Roy.
You think Chelsea would notice if we shoved Pulisic in a gear bag and brought him back to Rush Green? Hate seeing him wasting away on the bench. Appreciate you, boys. Have a pint on me. Come on, you irons. Cheers, mate. Really always appreciate it. Of course, I'd see why Roy likes his countrymen. And yeah, it's he's a good player. There's obviously a good player there, but he's another one at Chelsea. He's finishing, and his injury record would really give me cause for concern.
Yeah, he's a top talent. I know he picked up that injury that sort of hampered his career a little bit at Chelsea, but he's a very, very good player. He's a top talent, and if he can get back to the form that he had before he picked up that injury, he will be one for the future, big time for him. He's one to watch. One to watch, definitely.
That's right. Dom's spot on there. That's the word, toxic positivity. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that on Twitter. It's like anything mindly critical. There's a lot of group of people that are ready to jump on your throat, down your throat, call you all names under the sun because you haven't said something positive. Oh, so yeah, Dom's right, and I know he gets a lot of it. He gets a lot of that. He does. I don't get as much as he does, but like you're the same as me, Scott. We like to look at things on balance, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like you look at things on balance of things. You say you call out the good, you call out the bad, and
That's
you
it.
try and.
That's the thing. You can't be positive all the time because then you're not being real.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same when you're talking about a football player. You can't criticize a football player week in, week out, but then not praise them when they do something positive or do something well. You know, you've got to, if you're going to say someone's bad when they're bad, you've also got to say they're good when they're good.
Yeah, and that's it. But the thing is, the people that will jump on you and call you negative never respond, never note any time you say something positive. And I say stuff positive on my Twitter, but they're never there going, oh, right, nice, I'm really positive today. Oh, love this positive tweet. As soon as you say one thing like, oh, I don't like this. Oh, you're so negative. I voted for Dan the next general election. Yeah, so no, Kate, you've missed that. I'm changing to 1-1. Scott's 2-1.
2-1 win.
So yeah, like I say, it's been. I've enjoyed it. I was really negative before I came on because I had a horrible journey from Stratford upon Avon, the other Stratford.
Yeah.
So and I came in here and I was just like, oh, but it's made me forget about that shit journey, and I've enjoyed it, mate. So I'm glad you was egging me on in the WhatsApp. So
I said to you, get on as soon as you get in, and you did.
Yeah,
Just put a smile on your face. See, it's what you want.
Yeah. So before we wrap it up, answer it. We'll put our information on it. 131, block 131.
That's where we are.
Scott's behind me. Just behind me. So
we've got a good little crowd around us, haven't we, down there?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a good little crowd. Well, yeah, some a bit testing. Not bad, but you just get those fans that and here I am, so I'm big but to me, I'm not one, like, as you sit with me, Scott, I'm not one of them that shout down everything a player does. Oh, that fucking pass. Oh, what you doing there? Oh, what's that? What's this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not like that. But then when you've got someone constant in your ear roll, it's like, if someone doesn't do everything perfect, you're just on their case. Like, and I said this to someone. I was like, because people was like, someone said like, oh, it's this new generation that are so negative, a new generation that criticize players. It's like, fucking hell, you ain't been to Upton Park, mate. You have not been to Upton Park, because fucking hell, mate. When I was at Upton Park, people was getting Colton Cole, Kevin Nolan's, Mark Noble's, people, innit? They would just constantly, what the fuck are you doing there? What are you passing him? Like, oh my God, Noble in them last couple of seasons. Remember everyone was on the pass it sideways thing.
Yeah, is it, mate? You always get them. You always will get them. You know, certain people hate certain players, and no matter how good them players do, they'll still hate them. And it is what it is. It's part of the fun of football.
Yes, that's it. But that's football. So but it's weird when people just say it's the modern fans that don't go to games are the ones that are so critical and everything like that. It's like, you ain't been to fucking West Ham games, mate. Because ever since I was a kid growing up, they're the West Ham fans in the ground are some of the most critical you could ever get. And that's why I said, you didn't hear the fucking booing the other day at the Brighton game. Like, what are you talking about? So, yeah. But this leads in tomorrow. Watch along. Jace and I will be there. So I'll tell Jace off mocking the cocktail maker. I'm sure he'll know what that means. So I will tell him tomorrow. So we'll be going live before the game. So do join us there. It's going to be a mad one, I'm sure. See if Jace can do more shots. He has a lot of shots. If you didn't know, he committed to doing 5 shots for every player we signed. We've signed 9. So that's
because we signed Kelly, didn't we?
Yeah,
Patrick
he's
Kelly.
not getting his due credit.
And wasn't there another youngster we signed as well? I think
there might have been, or was it one we signed from our own youngsters, and we've given him his first professional. Might be one of them.
Don't know,
But
but
45 shots, yes, Mark. 45 shots, Jason. I think he's done 7 so far.
7 out of 45. He's got a long way to go.
He's got along. So we're doing like 5 per stream. But he ran out of drink, so we only did 2 on the other one. Tell him get the badge in. He weren't wearing Stone Island, was he, Jace? Did he have Stone Island on this? But yeah, so tomorrow, join us. Scott is going to join us at some point. I'm going to get him on as soon as he's available. He will be there.
I'll be there. We'll work it out. We'll look at the fixtures. I'll come on.
Yes.
Come on. Probably do one of the European away games.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, anytime. So yeah, Scott will be in the studio with us and enjoying the mayhem. So yeah, like big thank you to everyone watching, not just the super chatters. You're all super chatters. You're all been brilliant. All your comments. It's what makes the show. And yeah, give us a thumbs up on your way out. And yeah, look forward to, like I said, the fan carousel, the watch along, all of that stuff. It's going to be fun. Any last words, Scott?
No, that's it, mate. Just stay safe, everyone. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Hopefully a nice big 3 points. And yeah.
One thing left to say, Scott.